what everybody else got to say. If you constantly got your eyes on what everybody else doing, you ain't getting no money. When it comes down to closing a deal, I get it done. Every single one. I'm the certified deal closer.
Hey, we're back with another episode of Coinology. I am so excited to be sitting across from Miss Audria Richmond.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're about to have a good time.
Yeah, we're going to have a real good time. You know, I've been wanting to get you in studio for a while. I've been hearing a lot about you. One of my most respected clients out there, she speaks very highly of you, and I think she's a client of yours too.
Yes.
Candace, the 6-figure spa chick. You know she's no joke. No joke.
I love Candace.
Me too.
She has such amazing spirit.
She does, and she's so bright and so resilient.
Yes.
And you and her have a lot in common too. You both are from Memphis, right?
Yes.
All right.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Now, did you guys meet in Memphis?
No, we actually met here.
Okay.
And then I later learned that she was from Memphis. And then we was like, oh, this is dope. Because one thing we noticed when we moved here to Atlanta was like, there's a lot of pretty known people here that's from Memphis. And it was like a really cool connection.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard to find people that are from where you're from and have the same type of drive that you have.
Yes.
Right?
And that was actually why I had left. So it's crazy when I moved here, I see so many dope people thriving in their own gift living here. So that's pretty dope.
How long you been here?
Since 2015.
All right, because I think it was about 2020 when I first heard about you.
Yes.
Dr. Kim was having a conference, and I think both of us were speaking on. I think the pandemic had just broke.
Yes.
Because it was virtual.
Yes.
And I remember, I think I saw your presentation. I was like, this woman is bad. And then fast forward, I kept hearing your name. And then Candace had mentioned that you were one of her coaches.
Yes.
And then I started following your page, and I said, because if Candace is going to her as a coach.
Candace don't play. She invests.
Yeah.
She don't play. She don't work with anybody.
Right.
She holds a high regard for the people that she invests with. And so, it's definitely an honor.
Yeah, it's definitely. That's the same thing I told her. I was honored that she selected our agency. Tell us a little bit about what do you do, Audrey?
So, I'm a marketing and launch strategist.
Okay, and what does that mean?
I'm about to break it down.
Yeah.
So, basically, you come to me when you want to learn how to launch your products and services the right way. And you want to do it differently than everybody else that's marketing something. So you might say, hey, I'm about to launch a book or I'm about to launch a course. You may come to me and figure out like, hey, how do I make this different? How do I make this stand out? Hey, which is our brand, which is UnCloned. It means to challenge the norms, be the first to do it first. And it's all about becoming the obvious choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So typically, how many clients do you take on at a given time?
Actually, I teach more so one to many. So the 3 ways that my clients work with me, we have a membership called the Launch Circle. We have another program called the Publishing Like a Pro, which is more like a group coaching program for people who want to publish like a pro. And then we have my mastermind where we teach your whole business, where we teach you everything you need to know from how do you build a brand? How do you actually develop your offers? How do you market and promote your business? How do you launch? How do you come up with your content strategy? How do you pitch? All of that is a part of the UnCloned Mastermind.
So let's talk a little bit about how you became the expert at that, right?
Yes.
Because in order to know all that, you must have had a very successful business prior to this.
Yes.
Prior to this particular business, right?
No, it wasn't successful.
It wasn't. No?
I am self-taught.
All right.
So I had a lot of businesses back in Memphis.
Uh-huh.
I'm a former professional photographer.
Okay.
Former professional graphic designer. Magazine publisher. And so me and my husband, we had a juicing business called Juice Me Baby. So I had all of these businesses, but they all had something in common. We weren't making no money. Okay.
So you knew the formula of how to not make money.
Right.
Okay.
I mastered that well.
Okay.
So once we had these different businesses, I was like, man, what is going on? Because I definitely don't have a lack of ideas. What I started to find out was the issue that I was running into. I would put the business out there. It would reach a certain level. And then I start another business. Because the last one didn't get enough traction. Then I start another one. Then I start another one. And then eventually I was just like, you know what? Let me just go get a job. I can't figure this thing out. So I went to get a job, and I ended up reading a book called Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. And it's all about how to get
What's the name of
Book
it?
Yourself Solid.
Book Yourself Solid
by Michael Port.
Okay.
And so that book is all about like, how do you market yourself? How do you get clients? The first chapter was like, fire all the clients you don't like. I'm like, what? It's too crazy. And so we ended up.
I think I agree with that.
At the time, I didn't have no money.
So you
or no
like, I'm
clients.
gonna work with you whether I like you or not, right?
Yeah.
Right. But that's stress of working with people you don't like.
Yeah. I mean, I later learned that now.
Uh-huh.
I won't work with people I don't like now. But at the time, when you don't feel like you have options, feel like you don't have options. At the time, I was like, I just can't really get rid of a client like that. And so I ended up learning a lot of his tactics. And he talks about like, always have something for free. And so this is when I really started to learn the whole online marketing thing. I go online, I invest in a course, and I figure out why my businesses were failing. I didn't know marketing. And so I became obsessed with marketing. I was reading all the books, taking all the classes, taking all the courses, and then I would apply those marketing strategies to my business, and I would make money from those strategies, from trying those things. And then I would do it over and over and over and over. Then I started learning the skill of launching, and then the rest is history.
Okay. So let's go back to the marketing piece, though. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes people make in that era?
I feel like when it comes to marketing, a lot of people have the notion that my idea is good enough, which is what I thought. I thought you could just show up with your thing and that's sufficient enough and you should be good to go. What I didn't know was I always tell people like you will exhaust a circle. So you will tell like your friends and family and they might support you. And then they might tell their friends, a few friends. But after that, you're on your own. That's when a lot of people start saying, oh, the business don't work. Oh, ain't nobody following me. Oh, ain't nobody checking for me.
Okay, it's lazy.
Yeah, it is.
It's lazy.
Yeah.
One of the things I always say is that you can have the best product, best service, best idea, but if nobody knows about it, it's as if it doesn't exist.
Correct.
And the person who becomes famous for that idea, product, or service probably didn't even create it.
Correct.
They just were a master marketer.
Man, you get it.
Yeah, so you got to understand. If you don't understand, it's key dynamics that I think people need to understand in business. One, you need to be an expert at what you do. You do. And I think
because I feel like a lot of people don't have a lot of experience, and they be out here taking people money, and they don't know what they do.
Not an expert.
Yes.
Not an expert. I think the other thing is people need to have a strong marketing plan. If people don't know about you, you don't have anything.
Correct.
And I think lastly, people need a strong public relations, whether they do it themselves or they have someone else, because again, marketing is one part, public relations is a different part. And if people don't know and don't have the visibility that you exist, it basically does not belong to you, right?
I will say this, like once you start getting PR, you got to make sure you have solid systems.
And something to talk about.
Right, because once you go viral or you get the right hit or the right placement, it's game over if you don't have your back end set up.
That's right.
And I think a lot of the times people kind of skip the business foundational aspect of things, because I experienced that when I released my book. I marketed my book so hard when it first came out in 2020 to the point of I had to literally like shut down certain aspects of my business because I could not keep up with the bandwidth of what I was getting from my marketing. So
did you have a large following at that point?
I had a pretty decent following. Most people say I would, but at the time, this was my third book, and all of my books up until this point, when it first came out, would sell like, 200 copies, 300 copies. So that's kind of what I was expecting. We sold over 2,000 copies during pre-order. And I was just like, this is crazy. I feel like this is the book that, quote unquote, put me on the map. So just to kind of piggyback off what you were saying about the PR, sometimes you can market so hard that if you don't have the back end,
you can't fulfill it.
Correct.
You can't fulfill it.
Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about Audria. Who is Audria? Were you born and raised with a 2-parent household?
Yes. So when my mother, because my mother passed away, she passed away last year. So when my mother and my dad were married. But when I was growing up, I stayed with my mother. And so my dad would come over, he would come and pick us up. And I knew of him, but I didn't know him. And then when my brother was getting up in age, he started to become a little problematic. And then my mother felt like, okay, we need a man in the house. And so he moved back in during my teenage years. And so that's when they were both together. Then As I got older, they separated again. So it's just on and off of him being in the house, being in and out of the house with my mother. So they were both present. But as far as like who I am, I'm from Memphis. I am one of 5 kids. I'm the baby girl out of 5. Yeah.
Only entrepreneur?
Yes.
Okay.
In my family.
So
yes.
you came from a family that did not necessarily promote entrepreneurship.
Not only that,
right?
they did not promote like education either. Like,
Okay.
like what I mean by that is they wanted me to get out of school, but nobody was like, you got to go to college, or you got to get a degree, or you got to do that.
Did you go to college?
Actually, I went to a technical school because of my ex, like my quote unquote first love. He went to school. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, so I just went to school with him. But
well, that's good. You had some good, somebody around you that kind of pulled you along. So, but I bet you one of the things you just said about your parental upbringing is that relationships was more. It wasn't necessarily about love. It was transactional. It made sense to bring your father back in the house at that time to help with your son. I mean, your brother at that time, right? Do you think that had anything to do with how you look at love today?
That's a great question. And I actually never thought of it like that until you just said it that way. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. I feel like them doing that, I did feel like they didn't see me because I was a good kid. I was a kid they didn't have to worry about. I was a kid they didn't have to worry about. I actually just talked about this not the other day. I was like, I feel like my brother gets so much attention for being an idiot, and like I don't get any attention for being,
exceptional,
the person who you don't have to worry about.
Right.
And I feel like that's why they didn't nurture me like that. Yeah.
But I think the other part of that is, from a parental perspective, they knew that you were going to be okay. They knew.
Yeah, I know that, but it still doesn't take away from what you want as a child. And I think that's kind of, it sucks. Because just like, oh, you the kid that get good grades. You don't, you're not going to jail. You're not doing nothing problematic. So thumbs up. And it's just like, okay, I still have days where I want to talk or vent or things that's on my heart or on my spirit, Yeah. So
when you left tech school, why did you leave?
I had to teach tech. I couldn't afford it.
Okay.
And I didn't want to study that. If I'm being honest, it was just like I was following behind a boy. It was in a great direction. Obviously, I was going to college, but it was something I wasn't passionate about. So
what did you do next?
After that, I went and got a job as a flight attendant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see you as a flight attendant. You have such a bubbly personality.
Yeah.
So did you like that?
No.
No, you didn't like that either. How long?
Actually, how I came a flight attendant was funny. So I was looking for a job.
Okay.
And the job said it pays like $20 an hour. I was like, hell yeah, I want this job. And what's funny is I had never been to the airport. I did not own a passport, which all the things you need to know, right? And I did not actually get on a physical plane until it was time to do my test.
Okay, so did you get a passport?
Yeah.
Okay, you eventually had to get one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that was pushing you into your next phase, right?
Yeah.
Left that. What did you do next?
After that, I decided to start my photography business and start taking pictures.
So that was your entry into entrepreneurship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was a tough one, though, because you were still in Memphis then?
Yeah, I was still in Memphis.
So was there a large client base for
Actually, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
Hey,
were you...
Memphis was popping.
Now, were you at
with the art.
Sears and all that, or were you doing your own?
No. So first off, how I got into photography, I was hanging out with a homegirl. And at the time, she went to go get a photo shoot for her photo album. And I was just like, you finna pay this dude to take pictures of you? I thought it was the most craziest thing ever. Because I was the girl who would get like the disposable camera. Because my mom used to work in like she worked at Kroger, but she was also like the manager of the film department. So I could take pictures, disposable pictures, and she would dispose it. And then I would take the pictures and give them out at school. I did that for free. So as I got a little bit older, me seeing her go to this place to do a photo shoot, that's what we call it now. But to do a photo shoot, it was crazy to me that she was doing that. And I didn't even know that you could get paid to do that. And so I remember asking the guy, I said, hey, can you teach me how to take pictures like you? And he was like, no. He told me straight up no. And this is the first time I felt like super entitled.
Okay.
Like, you gonna tell me no, bro? Like, like, this is something I want to know. Like, why not teach me? And I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to go to Barnes & Nobles, and I found the book. The book is by Scott Kelby, and it was all about digital photography and like how to learn the camera and how to learn aperture and learn all the different
So
things.
You didn't let that no stop you.
I was gonna let it stop me, but this was the first time I wanted to know something so bad that I was like on the hunt to go learn and like seek it out.
You know, a lot of people use that as an excuse to say, well, this is why I didn't do this, because I asked somebody and they told me no.
Yeah.
They stopped there.
Yeah.
You didn't stop.
No,
You
because
kept
I was
going.
intrigued.
Right.
I was so intrigued.
You were
because,
passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did you do with photography?
I actually ended up doing really, really good. We had 2 photography studios in Memphis.
Oh.
I got really good, like really, really good. I was doing fashion and commercial photography. So I got really good. But then after that, it's like, I was marketing myself more so like the $50 and $75 photo shoot girl. So even though I had really good work, I wanted to elevate my portfolio, and when I wanted to raise my rates, I didn't really.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I tell my clients this all the time. How you enter into the market is so important.
Yeah.
You can't enter in as a Walmart brand and then want to switch over to Neiman Marcus.
Yes.
How you enter is how you are going to be positioned. Like, I know it's folks out here talking about, I mean, I don't know, some people, you may have one. Some people talk about the Kias and the Hyundais. They got some Kias and Hyundais right now that are over $100,000. Had you heard about that? Oh, yeah, the Telluride, and there's another one. It's a Telluride, I think it's Kia, and Hyundai has, but they're over $100,000, and I can't wrap my head around.
You talking about kids have $100,000 cars?
Kia, K-I-A.
Oh, Kia. Oh, Kia. The
Kia.
brand. I had a Kia. That joint was raggedy.
Well, listen, they got cars now. Kia is selling cars for over $100,000, but I can't wrap my mind around spending that much money.
Not for a Kia.
Right, but they said that these new cars, they're throwing the kitchen sink in them, so you can get everything you particularly want in the Kia.
Nah.
That's my point, because of how they enter the market, right?
Yes.
I can't imagine.
That was the budget cars.
Right, but now.
And it's like, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I'm going to go get a Benz or something.
But they said that the Kia and the Hyundai have more in them.
I don't care.
It's the branding, right?
I was about to say a phone, but I ain't going to even do the phone like that, but.
Right, but it's the branding, huh?
Yeah.
It's the branding.
Yeah.
It's how they enter into the market.
It's everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you think Kia and Hyundai are being successful selling these cars?
I believe they are going to have a market that's successful because somebody who had their original Kia that probably got every Kia thereafter, they're happy for the brand, mainly because they introducing something that they always wanted, right? And it's kind of like they're going to sell those cars. They're probably going to do pretty decent. But for the most part, like what we having this conversation right now, we're like, nah, I would never. And because we know of what's out there, and even if they were going to give more, they haven't built up enough brand equity to be able to position a luxury car, in my opinion.
So even when you're talking about just brands out here in general, I meet people, and sometimes my client is saying, okay, I'm going to lower my cost. I'm going to lower my price because I'm going to be the cheapest out there. And it's not good at all, because to me, I don't think people make decisions off of who they're going to work with strictly off of you being the cheapest.
And nobody wants to work with the cheapest. I know I don't. There was a season in my life where I wanted to work with the cheapest because I could only afford the cheapest. But the moment I could afford more, I went to the best. And I didn't waste any time trying to work with people who was just getting started. Even now, I meet a lot of people who try to sell me services and they have agency rates, but it's just them.
You can't do that.
I'm like, I can't, bro. I cannot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. That's why I try to tell people all the time when they try to compete with our agency. I'm like, but we're an agency. It's one person. But one of the things you said, $50, $75 photo shoot.
Yeah.
You think some of that too was a lack of knowing your worth?
Yeah, of course.
Because a lot of black
you
women
got to keep in
from
mind.
that. A lot of us suffer.
You got to keep in mind, during this time, I was just trying to survive and pay bills. So as long as, I just did a whole boot camp around pricing. One of the misconceptions when you're first getting started, especially when you're talking about your prices, you typically will charge according to what you need. And that could be just enough. Like my rent is only $2,000. So let me sell enough services to get $2,000. Or this is how much my monthly home expenses are if I can get just enough clients for this. And what happens with that just enough mindset, it puts you in a mindset where you don't even think you don't think to hire a team. You don't think to pay your taxes. You don't think, you really didn't even factor in all of that stuff because you're trying to do just enough.
You're trying to get by. It's that get by mentality too. I talk a lot about
and it's also lack of knowing, like you said.
Right. Yeah. And it's also, I think I read for you when I was preparing, it's this mentality of lack.
Yes.
The mentality of, like you said, it's just enough.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that comes from our community? You think it's lack of education from that?
Absolutely. When I think about my immediate family, we all were just cool with what we had. We never wanted more. Mm-hmm. As long as we could pay rent and go out to eat from time to time, or maybe go to a movie, that was it. Mm-hmm. To the thought of wanting more was like, why?
Well, what shifted you?
Seeing more. Being exposed to more.
The exposure,
being around other people.
Was that here or Memphis?
It was definitely here.
Okay.
Because I would say, this what did it for me. When I first came online, the most money I had ever made with a lunch, I didn't even know I was lunching at the time. The first amount of money I made online was $20,000. Now, you got to keep in mind, I was making $20,000 for the whole year.
Right.
And so to make that in 60 days, I was like, whoa. Like, I kind of felt like a drug dealer.
Right. Like, ooh, this is right.
Like $20,000. And then what really changed it was I could go to the furniture store and not put it in a layaway. This is the first time that I didn't have to think about payment plans or putting stuff to the side and laying it away. I could get it now and enjoy it now. And I didn't have to worry about more bills after that. Mm-hmm. And so that changed the game for me because I was like, okay, well, what happens if I get better with this skill? Mm-hmm. What happens if I get bigger lunches? What happens if I market harder or market better, get better, position myself better? Mm-hmm. And then everything just started getting really better.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, but what was it in you that said, because it clearly couldn't have been just you, Audria.
What do you mean?
What was it that said you can do more? Was it a coach? Or
it's seeing other people.
You saw other people, right?
Yeah. So I guess you could say influence was more, not necessarily a coach, because even though I was learning.
But how did you know they weren't capping? You know, it's a lot of cap. I think I'm using that word right?
No, you using it right.
It's a lot of capping out here on social media, right?
No, you're using it right. Let me say this.
How you know it wasn't cap?
Because capping ain't cap until you actually implement what people are saying. I think a lot of people say stuff is cap until they try it themselves. So somebody say, oh, I sold a course for $500 and I made 10 grand. You're like, okay, let me create a course for $500. And I made 10 grand. I'm a believer now. Mm-hmm. It's not capped to me anymore. And that's one of the things about...
It may be capped for them, though. They may not have done that.
They probably didn't done it, but they influenced me to try.
Right. You
know what I'm saying?
Right. So the cap has a place. The cap has a place in social media, right?
Yes,
because it can. Because I remember when Super Cent made $1 million, I think, in 90 minutes or so.
She showed you.
She showed proof.
Yes.
Bam, bam, bam. But from that situation ignited everybody on this whole Black Friday vibe.
Yes.
You know, Black Friday was always a thing, but it became a thing on
because
social media.
A lot of the times we don't get proximity to success like that. Mm-hmm. She didn't have to show us her phone. She didn't have to show us her making the money in real time. Mm-hmm. I think that's what we need more of. Mm-hmm. I recently invested with Sassy Jones.
Oh, I love Is that Sassy that you're wearing right now?
No.
Okay, but I love Sassy.
Yeah.
I love her. I love her as a person.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So she was doing an event where you could pay a lot of money. And I went to the event, and it was by far the best business experience I ever had in my entire life.
Why was that?
Because this was the first time I was able to see, I believe at the time, like a $40 million business up close. Mm-hmm. Being able to see her team, her operations, seeing how they treat their clients and customers, get to see how they think about new ideas for clothes and jewelry and accessories. Like, this was the first time in my life from a content, like business perspective, where I was overwhelmed when I left.
Let me tell you about Sassy. Sassy, I remember before she became this millionaire. Mm-hmm. You know, Sassy is from Virginia, too. So I'm from Virginia.
Yeah, that's where we went to. We went to Virginia. To do the boot camp.
And I've been watching her elevation. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to see a Black woman to start her business out of the dining room, doing her own QVC,
It's
where
beautiful.
she's at. It is beautiful. We got, and
I remember the Periscope days.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing, and there's no cap.
Yes,
There's no cap.
Facts.
Yeah, and that's just amazing. So so you are investing in what program? She has a program, and now
it was an event. It's the name is losing me. But it's an event. I think it's Grace Over Grind.
Okay.
It was a Grace Over Grind event, 1-day event. At the time of this recording, because I don't want to y'all see it again. There's more. I paid $7,000. Paid $7,000. It was an all-day event, and we were able to see her executive team. So how her executive team works. We were able to see operations, shipping, all of the stuff. Like, she literally did not hide anything. We could not obviously record or take pictures, but it just blew my mind that I have never seen that much success. Like you said, you see it online, but it's different than being able to touch it.
And so down to earth.
Yes.
Maintaining that humbleness is important.
Yes. I think I left there really being inspired to build a team. Because I think up until that point, you hear build a team, but be able to see how she was supported from her executive assistant down to her husband, down to her executive team. I have never seen that much success, because most people online, they only teach you about amplifying solopreneurship. You don't see a lot of people talking about hiring, firing,
or you hear a lot
teams,
about drop
all that
ship.
stuff.
Exactly. She has a warehouse, right? And then
not one, but three.
And not knocking drop shipping. You got to start somewhere.
Right.
But what I like is for us to get past the mom and pop mentality of everything has to be always small.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When did you know it was time to scale your business?
When my mama died. When my mama died last year, it was the first time that okay, and this is, I'm so glad you asked me this. Well, first off, I want to say this before I tell you that. People believe that because they write a book, because they create a course, because they create anything passive, that it's just going to get up and work by itself. And I tell people all the time, an asset has to be managed. And so with that being said, when my mama died, this was the first time I had all these assets, and I was making money from our shop, in our shop passively, but obviously I couldn't do any of coaching and stuff like that. And I had to close down my business for 2 to 3 weeks, grieve my mother, and get back into the trenches. And I was like, this is the last time that I'm not going to be fully supported. And this is what I will say. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about front end support. We talk about back end support, the photographer, the videographer, the EA, the assistant, all the admin people, all the back end operational people. No one ever talks about replacing the talent. If I'm the talent and I have to be the person that shoots the videos, create the commercials, be the talking head, be the podcast host, be all the things, at some point you're going to get to a point where you are going to be limited by how far you can grow. And so I started studying companies like the Peloton. I was like,
Oh, I love Peloton.
How do they have so much talent? I don't even know who the hell the CEO is. Right? And so it got me to thinking, how do I scale a front end model with experts besides Audria Richmond, right? And we had already started developing our certification program. We're coming to the conclusion of that. But I'm on a mission to multiply the front end of my business just as well as the back end. How do we have not necessarily more Audria Richmonds, but how do we have more of my same thought process? How do we have more of my framework working out in the world without me? How do we scale up expertise on the front end without it just being, on the back end. I don't want to hide my coaches. And I see a lot of people do that with their programs.
Well, I think that's because a lot of people still operate in the mindset of lack. Like we said before, they're afraid if I teach these people, they're going to end up going out and being my competitor.
And that's good. That's what will happen. That's a part of teaching what you know. But there's also contracts. There's also legal aspects. There's also protection you have as an employer. So, it's all about how you structure it.
A lot of people don't put the right human resources in place or legality. And then when you don't do that, it comes back to bite you later. Right? Because, when you do create intellectual property and put a lot of money and time and effort into it, you don't want someone to come and just steal what you worked your butt for. But you also are responsible for protecting your IP
and policing it.
Yes,
because I own 13 trademarks.
Okay,
and so I'm always policing my stuff.
That's right.
I recently trademarked my name. So I'm always like policing my IP. And I feel like that's an arena that me and my husband really want to amplify. Getting more people excited about developing IP and not just creating it, but protecting it at the same pace that you created.
That's right. That's right. And I think the education of that is coming along. But I see a lot of people trademark this, copyright this.
But they don't teach you how to leverage it.
Right. And they don't really explain to you why it's important. And you go off and trademark and copyright, and then you let it lapse with... We're not really.
And this is another thing, trademarks and stuff. And I'm obviously not an IP attorney, but I've spent enough money to know a thing or two, and I read a lot of books on it. One thing I notice about people when they say I'm a brand is nothing if you're not building equity. And so you hear a lot of people say, I'm such and such brand, great, but you're not putting it on merch. You don't have it. You're not marketing it. You're not increasing the value of it. You're not licensing it. You're not making it desirable. Like, it's easy for Nike to go and sue somebody because Nike has value. But if I take your logo and smack it on a T-shirt, nobody cares because half the time nobody even know who the hell you are. Right. So it's all about building brand equity.
You just hit on, and this is, I know the folks out there, they're going to get sick of me talking about this, but I'm going to talk about my homeboy.
Yeah.
Kanye. I love Kanye. Yeah. I don't love everything he says, but I love his ability to speak his mind.
Yes.
And not be afraid. Okay. It's preference. I don't love everything he says. But what I did see this weekend, he has so much value in his brand that Adidas is forced to have to enter back into contract with him.
And I'm here for it.
Right?
Yes.
To sell over X amount of billions of dollars of inventory.
Yes. Because
his brand was able to sell beyond Beyonce's brand, which was Ivy Park.
Yeah.
And now most people would have just assumed because Beyonce is Beyonce that she could have carried the weight for Adidas, but could not. Right? What do you think that's all about? I mean, when you look at the branding, the structure, what do you think Kanye did?
He's Kanye.
But he's also innovative, right?
But I think one thing that Kanye does, and a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people get caught up in what he say and how he act, but they don't pay attention to his business moves.
Right.
I believe that he's extremely business savvy, and a lot of the times we so used to paying attention to what the press put out that we kind of miss the move. And we don't learn about the move until right now, what we're talking about now, as opposed to people saying, oh, what could he have done with Yeezy, and so on and so forth. So he definitely built up the brand equity. And people really wanted him to kind of figure it out because they're like, I can't get rid of my Yeezys. I personally don't own any.
But the question is, why can't you? See, that's branding. Why couldn't you get rid of those Yeezys?
Man.
Why couldn't you? Why couldn't some of those people stop wearing the Balenciaga and Kanye collection? Why?
They attached to the brand.
And I saw celebrities sneaking to still rock it. Because and then saying, oh, I have on Balenciaga today, but I shot this before. They had to make excuses.
Right.
But why are you that? What is it that a brand does that can make you that attached?
Brand is also about psychology.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Like what exactly?
Like if a brand can get you to, I always think about brand is also habit. It's also about perception. Like if you see some, I came here with my Fendi bag.
Okay.
And so I could care less about Fendi, but I know the people that follow me love that brand. I bought my first luxury bags last year or year before last. I bought my first Louis Vuitton bag and my first Fendi bag. Me personally, I don't wear designer. I could care less about it. But because I'm building a brand and most people associate women with class and all of the things, they want to see me rock certain bags and so on and so forth. So I rock the bags. And what I mean?
So you're saying, some people believe that. So let's talk about it a little bit. Some people believe that you have to look successful to be successful.
Oh, let's talk about it. I just hired a stylist this year.
Okay.
You think I put this together myself?
All right. So it's not a bad thing. So some people say, okay, I'm going to invest in this car. I'm going to invest
I spent probably about the amount of a car working with my stylist for this year because last year I was like, what good is to have this dope brand, amazing trademarks, all the things, if you don't feel confident in your style. Yes, you can rock your t-shirts with your logo on it and all of that. There's nothing wrong with that. But people see you as a boss, and so you need to show up like
you have to always
like visually show
yes,
up like
right.
one. Like I'm showing up like one intellectually, but visually, are you showing up like a boss? And you know, I'm getting some good old compliments from Mr. Calvin.
Okay,
so he's
okay, Mr. Calvin likes it. So as long as he's okay with it, right?
Yes,
right,
yes,
right.
yes.
So it's important.
And it has definitely increased my confidence.
Well, and
engagement on social media.
Right.
You'd be surprised how
because
much more
people are
engagement I get.
visual.
Yes.
People like to be able to look and see something they like, and that's what makes them want to come back to your page.
I didn't
right?
honestly. I was one of those people where it was like, bruh, it ain't that serious. And to, bruh, it is that serious.
It is.
And to, you know, like, it's so easy to judge things you have yet to experience. You know, people say, I can see why people would, I don't know why you spent, you know, $4,000 on a bag. I know. When I'm walking through the airport with my bag and people are like, who's that? You know, it draws attention. Me looking good, it draws attention. And it makes me feel good. Makes my husband proud. You know, just a lot of different things that you say is not important to it is.
It is important. I think appearance for Black women in particular should be very, very important. Well, it is important to us, right? So I know that you're also a big fan of Glorilla.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's from Memphis. Yeah.
Memphis. What you know about Glorilla?
I mean, I just know of her.
F-R-E-E. I don't think Calvin down for that, right?
No, I'm totally married.
Okay, Audria, put it down. What you do? What's this?
I was about to get drunk with the joint. No, I love artists from Memphis.
Okay.
So her, Yo Gotti, just a lot of different Memphis artists, right? And I feel like if you can get it out of Memphis, you can get it out of
You can get it out of anywhere. Out
know
the
what I mean?
mud, right?
Yes.
Right.
And so as a fellow Memphian, to be able to see her skyrocket her success so fast, and I was able to listen to her story and see how she got herself discovered by Yo Gotti and put herself out there. And she's just, everybody love to talk crap about her, but she don't give a damn. And I love that. I love that.
You think she really don't care?
I mean, you know.
I think,
From what I can see on the net.
Right.
It is perceived as if she don't care.
Well, you should always show that you don't care, but really you do.
Yeah.
You care.
Yeah.
Especially being that young. Because you don't really get to a point of not really caring until I think you get to a certain age of experience.
I mean, I'm 36. So I'm getting close to 40, and I'm like, you know, it's a lot of I don't give a damn stuff. It's a lot of stuff I'm starting not to care about.
Yeah, you just start being like, you know what, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It just is.
But like you said, I think it comes with age.
It comes with
and
age.
maturity. Like I don't know any young people who just like.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think she cares,
Yeah.
and I think, but you should give off that perception like, hey, I don't. Okay, so let's talk about some of these conferences, right? So I know if you can launch and sell like a machine, I'm sure you can sell out conferences. Is that
Absolutely.
the case?
Well, I recently canceled a conference, so
Wait
I
a
can't
minute.
tell you if I can or can't.
Okay,
Because I canceled mine.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You canceled a conference.
Yes.
So it's okay to cancel.
Yes.
Did you already launch and then you have to let the folks know you cancel, or
this
what happened?
So this was what happened.
Okay.
I am around, a lot of my friends are uber successful. Okay. And all of them have created a conference. So by nature, I'm thinking you got next, right? Like you successful, blah, blah, blah. And so I felt like if I wanted to be respected as an expert, you need a conference. That's what I thought, right? And we'll talk about how this clone thinking. But at the time, I was like, okay, I need to do a conference. So I was like, I'm like asking everybody, should I do a conference? Should I do a conference? Everybody like, yeah, do a conference. So I put it out there, hey, I'm going to do a conference in July 2023. I put up the wait list page. I make a big announcement, and I'm like,
oh, so you made a big deal about it.
Yeah.
You did a Beyonce announcement about it.
I made like 2 posts. Within like 2 days, we had
no, but if
people.
you make 2 posts, that's like Beyonce announcing Lemonade coming out next week. Okay, so you made a big noise about it. All right.
Yeah. And so we got 500 people on the list immediately.
Okay.
And I was like, because I was like, I'll do a conference, but it's going to have like 150 people.
500.
Now we got 500 people off the rip. And I'm like, okay, this is, So I'm terrified. I'm still terrified. But I was terrified about a lot of different aspects of it. But a big part of it was I felt like I wasn't ready. And I felt like I didn't have a team to support a conference. Because I had been a part of a lot of conferences, like on the back end, supporting my friends. I've seen a lot of experts host their own conference. And just from the looks of it, and I'm also taking a course on a conference, this is not no easy thing, right? We're talking upwards of, $50,000 plus on setting it up, the expenses, all the stuff. And the thought of doing it would like literally make me sick. I was so terrified from this.
Okay.
Right?
Even with 5, it's people struggling to get 5 people to register for their
Yeah,
conference.
I mean,
you had 500 people
and you know what's
waiting.
crazy? Like in 2022, I spent $150,000 on a project, a publishing project, and didn't have no problem with that. Like, so it wasn't about the money.
It wasn't the money.
It wasn't the money. It wasn't about can I sell tickets. I just felt like I felt like I wanted to have a bigger team. Like something in my mind.
So why didn't you just go do that?
Because I want a team of excellence.
You should have called us. Why you didn't?
I don't want just bodies.
Why you didn't call us, Audria? We could have had that conference turned over for you in no time.
I don't know. I have a certain thing I want, right? And
you can have that though.
I'm gonna have it.
Do you think it's you talking yourself out of it?
I don't think I talked myself out of it. I feel like I made an executive decision to focus on hiring and building a team.
Okay, so you had 500 people registered.
Yeah.
And then
wait list.
Okay, wait list.
Yeah.
And then when did you pull the plug?
I pulled the plug in January.
And
No, I think was it the end of December? I think it was the end of December.
So during Christmas time, y'all eating. And
we didn't have Christmas cookies and milk.
Right, y'all was talking and y'all said, what was the mindset? What made you say, let's pull the plug?
I was in the middle of hiring. And my event planner, this is my second event planner I had hired, because the first one we wasn't really getting any traction, at least what I thought we should have been doing. So I hired another event planner, and I was in a hiring meeting, hiring some people. And she was like, hey, going back and forth with the venue, can you do this? Can you look at this? And I just was like, F it. I'm not doing the conference. But
how much time?
Because I personally could not focus on both.
Okay.
Like, it's a lot to hire and put on a conference.
But when was it supposed to happen?
In July of next year. But you got to book the venue. You got to book the venue.
Yeah, I know that.
But you keep in mind.
Oh, come on, Audria. Did you just not want to do it?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to do it, but I wanted to do it with excellence. I wanted to have a team. I wanted to have capital. Wanted to have more capital, more reserves.
Okay.
And I wanted to feel confident and sure about it. And I wasn't feeling confident or sure about it.
Okay.
And I'm not one of those people who don't take risk.
You trusted your gut.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. I think people need to learn that even when everybody on the outside is telling you you're crazy, you have to trust your gut.
I did get some pushback.
Yeah. Even my husband, I'm pushing back.
Yeah, my husband, he was like, babe, we could do this, everything you said, he said. But this is what I teach all about being uncloned. Uncloned is also about trusting yourself.
Right.
And at the time, I just didn't trust. And I let it go.
You let it go.
I got so many DMs after I made that announcement. Thank you. I had just signed this contract and I didn't know how I was going to pay it. I'm going to cancel my contract. Like, people was thanking me because they were tied up in these big contracts.
And you freed them.
And I freed them.
Say, it's okay to say, this is too much.
Yes.
And I think from a mental health perspective, though.
I was relieved.
A lot of people need to figure that out. It's okay to say, no, I can't do this for the health of their mental.
Yes.
I think a lot of the folks experience extreme anxiety because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yes.
You saw your friend, you said the clone, the unclone. You said, wait a minute, I'm going to do it my way.
Yes. And I had done virtual conferences, but I know people wanted to see me, but I felt like it wasn't, and that's another reason I canceled. I didn't feel like it was going to be uncloned. Like, I didn't want a stage with a bunch of speakers and, just the same rigmarole. You know what I'm saying? I wanted something uncloned. Like, I'm like, until I figure out what that model of a conference looked like for us, I don't want to do it.
Okay, so you have not rescheduled.
No.
Okay, all right.
It is like indefinite until I figure out what I want. Because you know what I want more than that? I want connection with my community. I don't want to pile a whole bunch of hundreds of people into a room and they I'm surrounded by security and they never get to even shake my hand or high five me. I'd rather go and have intimate groups of people being able to talk to me and get to know me, as opposed to just, I don't know, maybe I haven't accepted that part of my success of being able to repel people. I like to be able to high five people and thank you for reading my book, and I like to do that.
Well, maybe you can do that for your VIPs.
Yeah, but I was that underdog that wanted a hug or wanted a high five or wanted to talk to the person who made it. I don't know. Maybe I changed the way it's done. Who knows?
Well, why did you say that you were the underdog? What made you feel like you were the
Well,
underdog?
back in the day, yeah, it's called general seats in the back, barely can see. Yeah.
Nosebleed, right?
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like wishing you could be on the front row, but you can't afford it. You know? Yeah.
But I think do you think there's a problem with having hierarchy? Like, working your way to the VIP section?
I still struggle with that.
Okay, so you think everybody should be VIP?
Yeah.
Really?
I go VIP everywhere.
But do you think those who didn't pay to be in VIP, like you can afford to do VIP
this
now?
The thing. Okay. Oh my God, I'm so glad. This is so good. I'm enjoying this.
I'm glad.
I feel like I remember when I stayed in the hood and somebody took me to a nice restaurant. And at that point, a new standard was set.
It gave you something to work towards.
Right. And I feel like it's hard for people. People always say, I would never pay those ticket prices. It's totally different until you being able to see somebody sweat on their forehead, or you being able to go first, or you being able to drink certain kind of, drink a certain type of drink or eat certain kind of food. I think exposure is what gives people ignorance to certain stuff. They legit just never experienced it. So it's easy to say, I'm cool with a $50 ticket, and you don't see the value in a $2,500 ticket. But until you get that $2,500 experience, you ain't gonna never want $50 ticket.
Let's talk about first class.
Yes.
Once you've experienced first class, you don't want to go back to coach.
I flew all first class last year.
But if everybody can get into it, let me tell you a good example. Just recently, so let's back up a little bit. Delta. I love Delta.
Yes.
Delta Sky Miles Lounge, the whole
Whoop,
experience, right? Well, they just recently created some more rules stating that you have to spend at least $100,000, I think, on your platinum card or something like that to be able to access.
I got the Delta Sky Miles, too.
I do too.
You ain't gonna get me, baby.
Platinum, all that, right? But then I also spend over the amount that I have to in my card because I know how to use my card.
Right.
The challenge is they put those things in place because I think during the pandemic, a lot of everybody.
They was giving them cards out to everybody.
They was giving them out, and it was a lot of people.
Everybody was like, I got this, I got that.
Able to get into a credit repair, da-da-da-da-da. And I think people started complaining in the lounge about the exclusivity and the types of people that began to have access. So the question is this: is it wrong to want to have that exclusive experience, or should people be able to have to work their way to it? What are your thoughts? Is it wrong?
If you can afford to be in the room, be in the room.
But so you can afford to be in a room, be in a room.
Yeah.
But what about the experience? So which is true.
Create a more elevated experience.
Well,
create another level. Like you said, they just created a new metric.
Well, they increased the metric, right? So every
100,000. So it's like that's the new level.
But the question is, sometimes people will say this too. As soon as we get into the playing ground, then all of a sudden,
play bigger, baby. Go harder.
Go harder, right? Stop making excuses,
that's what I was about to say.
Excuses.
Like, miss me with that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I get tired of people.
We was about to get crunk over here.
Yeah, I get tired of people always saying the woe was me story.
Yeah.
So that means you just got to turn it up.
Yeah.
You got to turn it up and go that much harder.
Turn up the heat.
Okay,
go harder. Get better.
Harder. So let's talk about this. Read more. Look, gentrification. What are your thoughts on gentrification?
Now, I don't know nothing about that. We can go and skip that one. I don't know.
Okay, you don't know. So you don't know anything about the urban community.
I mean, I'm aware of it, but I don't know enough to form an opinion.
Okay,
if I'm being honest.
All right.
I don't want to go down that road.
You don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to know because a lot of times, people once you reach a certain level of success, people sometimes make you feel guilty.
Oh, I feel like that all the time, but that's not going to take away my ability to want more or strive for better.
Right.
I think
you do feel guilty?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
I feel guilty all the time.
Okay.
Because when you are the only person in your family who is reading more, investing more, going to the courses, buying the courses, going to the conferences, investing in yourself for coaching, and this is where it hurts for me. I've literally created books, courses, all the things. And when my family come to me and say, hey, I need this so I can be able to do this, and they won't even read my books, that's why we behind. You know what I mean? So
do you feel obligated then to give it to them?
No, not at that point. Now, if they came to me and they say, hey, I need to borrow, I don't know, $50. Man, if you read this book, it's going to teach you how to, find a skill that you're really good at and make money from it. And you deny that opportunity, that's on you. I tried to, I always tell people, like, when people ask me, when my family asks me for money, now I just give them, like, courses and classes.
But do they get offended by that? Because they're like,
Yeah, they get offended.
I need $50 now.
Okay, and you're going to get this lesson.
Okay. Because you believe in, let me teach you how to fish.
Exactly.
Right?
That's how I learned. Like, I'm the only reason I'm able to give you $50 because I acquired the skill.
So the guilt, you do feel guilt.
Yeah.
What about the friends and everybody from back at home and so forth to see Audria
Man,
now?
I don't talk to the people like that.
So you got a whole new crew.
Man, my crew is tight.
Okay. All right.
Tight.
So yeah, because you have to change your environment.
Absolutely. But it is guilt around that, though.
Yeah, it is guilt.
Yeah.
It is. And what are your thoughts when people are saying, Audria, you changed?
Hell yeah, I changed. And you should too.
Right.
It's cool on this side.
Right. You should want to, and you should want to come with me.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
I'm going to teach you how to come and be here with me. But just because you make more money doesn't mean you change your mind. Your mindset. Because like you can't take a broke mindset into money.
You sure can and won't keep it.
Absolutely.
And won't keep it.
Because you got to learn how to manage money. You got to learn how to, manage your credit. You got to learn how to manage, credit, all the different aspects. Business
and manage
credit,
your relationships.
Credit. Absolutely.
Because this is the thing.
And you got to learn how to be a good friend.
Yes. And what does that mean? What does that look like for you?
It means being cool and nice. It means like not being disrespectful. It's not about being selfish. If I call you, hold space for me, just like I'm holding space for you. That means if I'm talking, I'll let you talk. You let me talk. So on and so forth.
Does it mean I'm going to Cancun, you don't have the money, so I'm going to go ahead and buy you a ticket too?
I don't know. It depends.
Okay.
It depends.
It depends.
If this person is very hardworking and you see them putting forth an effort, then maybe. Right? And occasionally, but not all the time. Not as a default. Not as a, I ain't improved my life, but I should still be entitled to the benefits of your life. Not on that type of tip.
What do you think about hiring friends and family?
If they get skilled enough. That's what my issue is. My dad actually asked me, he was like, Audria, can I work for you? I said, Dad, you ain't got no skills I need. So if my family would acquire the skills that I need to help me run my business, absolutely, I would hire them.
Generational wealth.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
generational.
It's more about, do you have the skill than it is if you're my family.
It's got to be about that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges I see in African American businesses.
Yes.
That we put a whole lot of people in positions that have no business being in those positions.
Absolutely.
Right? And then your business, which could have been a great business, suffers because also you can't, it's difficult to go off and fire cousin Billy.
Not really.
Okay.
You brought Billy into the hiring process.
That's right.
Now, if you let Billy get hired and you didn't take him through 3 interviews and let him meet the team, and you personally don't run your business like a business, then that's when it becomes a problem.
It becomes a problem.
But if you let Billy skip all the interviews and get straight in, and you and Billy might have a problem.
Mate, let me ask you this: do you consider yourself an alpha woman?
And sometimes, yes.
Okay, because what I pick up on you is that you have a hybrid.
Oh yeah, I can be feminine and soft.
Yeah, because
and I can roast you.
A lot of very strong, successful businesswomen that I bring in here, because you got to be the talented 10th top. Most of them are very much alpha, very strong-willed. But what I pick up from you is that you know how to turn it on and know how to turn it off, which is good, because most alpha women struggle in being able to find that partner because of that. And so now there's this huge movement out here about, what is it, soft girl movement?
Soft life movement,
right? I'm trying to catch on.
We talk about this
soft
all the
life.
time.
Okay, so what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think in the context of social media, it means, I don't know, I can't get with it. I don't know.
You can't get with it?
I think it means get sleep. Because if that's the case, I'm soft as hell.
Right.
I stay napped up.
Right. I don't know if it means, I think they're trying to tell people that women who feel like they got to be everything.
But you know what soft life is?
What?
It's what it was supposed to be before Independent Woman came out.
But we had to be independent, right?
Yeah, I get that. But at the same token, don't no man want to be with a woman that's so rah-rah.
That's right.
Right? And the women starting to realize that fact, and now they screaming soft life. Okay, well, let me
Who
not
started
disrespect
this movement?
Him. I don't know, somebody.
Because I'm seeing,
I don't know who she is. But
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you this.
Started it.
I'm seeing a lot of very strong, successful women saying #soft life.
You know what it is? a lot of women are also tired of being hard.
And the truth of the matter is,
hard.
A lot of women are also tired of having to be the answer. I think we want to have somebody else sometimes to make that decision.
We do make a lot of decisions, but I also believe that that's why you should get, let me speak from two perspectives, because I'm married. I've been married for 10 years. So I make a lot of decisions with my husband. However, if I wasn't married, right, I don't really know if I would be #soft life. You know what I mean? Because I got to get it how I live. But I also think like that now, even with a man. So I don't know.
I think that most people have to have the #soft life to remind them that, wait a minute, there's a time and a place for everything.
Yes, I get it, but why do it even need to be a soft life? Why can't it just be who you are as a woman?
Because I think,
you know what I mean? Like, why do it have to be like an on and off button?
Right.
I'm soft now.
I think it's hard. Because there's such this generation of so many alpha women, and I don't, I wonder, like, because with our grandmothers and everybody, were they alpha women?
When I think about alpha women, or what's the other one, beta
women,
I just think of, and maybe this is kind of like, ignorance on my part, but I always think of like assertive and people who are not as assertive, right? Like, I know what I want. I want this. I want that. And then I see passive on the other side, where it's like more submissive, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. But again, I could be ignorant to this whole conversation, so I don't really know.
Yeah, it's a lot of changes in this generation, I think. Yeah. Even now, this whole thing about polyamorous relationships.
I don't know nothing about that, and I'm opting out immediately.
Right, because it's off the chain.
I think I'm doing a regular life. What's a regular life?
Right, regular life. No, we're not going to do.
Is it one person?
One person.
Whatever one person is, that's me.
And being authentic to who you are, right? It's not about being soft life. It's just, I'm going to be Audria.
Yeah, and Mr. Calvin ain't going for that.
Right.
He ain't sure nobody.
Right.
With me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But it's the stuff that's going on out here. I'm just like, whoa. And a lot of women are having.
You got to know what to open your household up to. Some people just follow social media into the damn death of them. Like, people just let anything rule their life. And so this is where, values come in place. What are your values? Who are you at your core? You just going to let anything just come into your life and just take over how you operate? Social media be having way too much control.
Social media, okay, let's back up. How many followers you got on social media?
80,000 followers on Instagram.
But okay,
I don't know across all of them.
But let's go by 80,000. Nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah,
it took a lot of work to get there, right? Yeah. And that meant that you had to put in some strategy and procedures in place to make sure you drove those numbers.
Correct.
And with that meant you had to give the people what they wanted.
Yeah, but I don't. If you look at my social media, I'm the same way I am in this interview, and I'm the same way this interview as I am as a wife at home. You don't get no difference. I'm not putting on a front or a facade. I cuss. I'm country. I'm me.
Okay.
So when I
was playing my MC Light, and I was playing my MC, that's why, you know what? That's why you don't know who MC Light is. You're 36 years old.
I'll give it up for me.
Yeah, that's why you don't know MC Light. Okay, that explains. I'm gonna give you a pass on that. I'm gonna give you a pass.
I was born in '86.
Okay, yeah.
When did her album come out?
Yeah, I don't. MC Light probably.
What you know now?
Let me be quiet. I ain't gonna give away too much information, but that's why you don't know MC Light.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a trip though how the generations are building and growing and changing, and how social media has a lot to do with it, because social media is giving you the nod that this is okay and this is what you're supposed to do.
It says trends and all the things, but it's also people on social media who ain't with it. Our hoteps of the world are. For the people, you know what I mean? That's having real conversations. Everybody is not falling in this ignorant track, So I think it's all about who you follow too. You follow a lot of stupidity, you're gonna see stupidity. You're gonna be encouraged to do stupidity. I follow a lot of smart people who doing dope things, which makes me want to do dope things.
And I think it's a trip because you could tell what it is where you are in your life at that moment. Because when you log on to TikTok or whatever, they're going to show you what you're.
You forced to see whatever's popping that day,
right? But it's still going to take you down a path of what you've been clicking on too.
Yeah.
Because it can change whatever it is.
It's some weird stuff on TikTok.
It is. It's some real. Or how are you doing over there on TikTok?
I don't know. I think I got like 2,000 followers. It's not
That's not your real area.
Nah.
But
I be forgetting to post over there.
Well, what you gonna do though when Instagram go away?
I'm gonna do what I've been doing, building my email list and building my SMS list, and just go with the flow. I think this is why knowing how to market outside of social media. So you still got direct mail. You still have, blogs, your websites, your events, networking events. It's still a lot of stuff you can do that doesn't involve social media. Social media is definitely a fast path if you learn to love it and adapt it. But it's not the only way.
Because that's going to be important for people to keep their mind on what do they do when this happens. Because one day it will go away.
Yeah.
Everything goes away,
I mean,
right?
MySpace went away.
Everything
Black Planet went away. Remember Black Planet?
Yeah. I never did really get involved on MySpace and Black Planet. I was a rebel. It took me a minute to even get involved on on Facebook. Just because I was like, I don't have time for that, And
you both.
This was way back. I'm talking about way back.
Pre-boss?
Yeah, but this is way back. Well, I was born a boss girl.
Okay.
But this was way back. I want to say I probably, Facebook, I got involved maybe 2008.
What's your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Why?
I think it's just because you know what? Let me back up. Instagram is where I think I'm most comfortable, but where I've started to really enjoy for entertainment has become TikTok.
Really?
And it took me
TikTok is funny though.
It's funny, and it took me a long. I'm a rebel. I fight against things, and I came and my cousin kept talking about TikTok, and then you would get lost in hours. It's like watching a TV show. It's hilarious.
I got Calvin. He my curator of funny clips. He sent me funny clips, and so when I log in, I just watch all his funny clips.
It's hilarious. But I look at it too and I'm like, I don't have time to do all of this. They put a lot of work into building content for TikTok.
To me, it's no difference than any other social media platform. They just found a way to make it addictive.
How much time do you spend a week
on TikTok?
Curating content for your Instagram.
Man, it's a full-time job, about 10 hours, 10, 12 hours.
So you have to literally plan out your week.
I'm not a social media planner, though. Okay. I just know I need to post every day.
Okay.
I kind of let my life dictate what I post. I'm not that person to be like, all right, I'm going to post this on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. To me, that feels too robotic.
If you don't post every day, what does that mean? You don't take your business seriously?
No, it means you need a break. Like, it's okay to take a break. I told some people that, they was like, thank God.
But it's some people who just don't do social media. What do you think about them?
They have obviously figured out another way to make money. Because it's a lot of deals they're making, and you don't know these executives. They're not on Instagram. They're not hitting you with the new TikTok dance. Like, they in the boardroom closing $1 million deals.
Look at Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Right? And then Kanye will come in and come out. He comes in when he wants to antagonize.
I feel like, but when we make those comparisons, like, look at Jay-Z or look at...
That's not realistic.
We need a more fair comparison because, like, these dudes was rich pre-social media takeoff,
That's right.
Because think about Will Smith. He avoided it for a long time.
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to tell you about the avoiding and rebel. That's how I am. Yeah. I avoid. I'm a rebel.
But see, this is the thing. This is where I feel like the biggest difference is. The people who can really take off with social media, they're actually really good personality-wise. Not all the time, because stupidity stuff go viral too. But when I think about like a Will Smith or a Kanye or whatever, like outside of social, they're still dope.
They are. And that's the thing. Are you dope in real life?
That part.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I'm dope.
That's the real substance, in my opinion.
That's in real life, right? In real life, and the other thing about social media is I'm really about being in the moment. One of my biggest pet peeves, Audria, is going to an event and people are spending more time recording it or.
We went to a concert, and I literally told my husband, like, take my phone. Matter of fact, I left my phone in the car because I want to be present.
And experience the moment. Yes. Because guess what? When people are sitting there recording or going live, don't nobody care about you being at the concert. Yes. Put the phone down. And
learn how to be present.
Right. Enjoy the moment. Selfieing and all. I'm like, enjoy the moment. Yes. And most people won't do that. And so I'm really big on social media takes away from that. It takes away from that ability.
I feel like social media, texting on the phone, not like, I made a vow to my husband a few years ago that like I'm off at 7. That's our time. We're watching TV, whatever. We do have grind seasons where it's like, all right, we got to grind this thing out. But I make sure that I'll make it a habit.
Okay. You got to do that. And I think it's good that you and your husband have combined and said, this is what's going to be good for us.
Right.
You need that in your marriage, because otherwise you guys can go into two different directions and you'll look up and say, okay, what happened to us? And making that us time. What's next? What's coming up next for you?
Our certification program.
Okay.
I really want to train and scale up our business. I really want like a training company to really train the future marketers of the world. I feel like we need more marketers. That's pretty dope. Like I feel like a lot of the Super Bowl commercials are very boring.
That Tubi commercial was fire.
I mean, a handful of them was good, but it's not like, I normally like get my popcorn, sit at the table, like let's watch a commercial.
They're lazy. You know what? They just feel like I could put in a celebrity.
You know what I think it is?
What?
They're trying to be too neutral. They're not drawing a line.
Oh yeah,
in the sand.
You better cancel culture, girl. These people are. They're not trying to.
But
lose
it's
their money.
still no. Your brand is still a personality.
I agree.
It still have values.
And I hate the cancel culture. I do. I say what I want to say. This is Coinology.biz, and I say what I want to say. I hate the cancel culture, but a lot of big businesses, and that's one of the things that we specialize in is crisis management. We have to come in and help our companies or our clients so that they don't lose everything, lose their hat because of the cancel culture. It is dangerous.
Like it's super serious, and I feel like at what point you ain't being yourself though?
You're never being yourself. Anytime you're saying that what you saw on the Super Bowl commercials were walking a straight line.
Yes, it's like I felt like I was watching a lot of neutral commercials. It's like you can't. I don't know. They're just trying to fit in, I guess.
It's just too much of that. But I'm going to tell you this, Audria. I really enjoyed having you here today. Yes. I have been, like I said, I've been watching you from afar. I said, she's pretty dope. And then I knew when Candace, I said, okay, Candace, she is off the chain. I want to say, I want to congratulate you for all the success that you have.
Thank you.
Everything that you're doing. I want to also say, hey, big ups on you saying this is not for me.
Yes.
The conference, I'll get to it when I can, because when I do it, I want to do it the way I want to do it,
right,
without the pressures of anything else. And to see a Black woman still be able to be powerful, successful, soft, and strong at the same time, and still moving. Stepmom, you are helping raising your stepdaughter. It's a lot. You got a lot of moving parts. So I want to say big ups to you and thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for
today.
having me. This was dope.
I'm glad
really
you enjoyed it. I'm glad.
Yes.
And thank you guys. And I'm going to see you next time on Coinology.
Get no money if you constantly worried about what everybody else got to say. If you constantly got your eyes on what everybody else doing, you ain't getting no money. When it comes down to closing a deal, I get it done.